Today we're looking at using buttons to navigate between scenes. You may want to use this feature, for instance, on a main menu screen when you're picking particular levels or perhaps options, or you've got an instruction scene and you would want to click on an instructions button to take you to the instruction scene where you can find out how to play the game. Also, maybe when you lose or you win a game, you may want to restart the game. So you might have a restart button, which when clicked will take you to the main scene of your game so that you can play again. Now I'm just going to use a movie clip symbol as my button. You don't have to use a button symbol, just a movie clip symbol is fine. I'm just going to draw a square, black square, okay, and I'll convert that to a symbol. So you certainly need a symbol, but you can just leave it as movie clip. It doesn't have to be a button symbol. Okay, so I'll just call this my button. Okay, I'll also add some text to that, and I'll have to use white. Okay, and I'll say next scene. Now just move that a little bit around. Okay, and just go back to my main timeline. Okay, so I've got my button now, and I want to make it so that when I click on this button, it's going to take me to the next scene. Now I've actually got this in my splash scene, so I got rid of the video I had earlier, and I've just put this button here. So when I click on this button, I want to go to my main game scene. So you can put code on the timeline. That's probably the easiest way to do it, because you do need to stop in your timeline. You need to actually write stop, and so you might as well put some other code in there. Okay, so we've got the stop that we had previously. So this basically means that when we start our game and it searches along the timeline, the splash scene will go first, and once it encounters that stop, it's going to stop on this scene. It's not going to finish the scene and go to the next scene. Actually, we haven't given this button an instance name. Let's go back and do that. Okay, so click on properties, and you must put in an instance name. It's very common for people to forget that. So let's just call it next scene button. Okay, make sure you put in an instance name, otherwise you'll be wondering why nothing's working. Okay, and let's go back to the timeline and window actions, or F9. So stop. We called it next scene button. It's the name of our symbol. So we're going to type add event listener. So we're listening for particular types of events, and the ones we're looking for are mouse events. So mouse event dot click. We're going to call a function, and let's just call it move forward. Is going to be the function name. Okay, let's make that a bit bigger. And so we need to define our function move forward. So function move forward, and it takes a parameter of mouse event. So the variable is called e, and mouse event is the type of the event, and it's also a void function, does not return a value. Okay, so what do we want to do? We want to go to, and instead of play, we're just going to go to and stop. And we're going to frame 1 of our next scene, and the scene name, I've just called it game. Okay, now just save that, and let's have a look at our document class and just see if there's no code that may interfere with our button. So let's close that for a second. And okay, so this is our document class again. We have this timer here. Okay, we actually don't need that now. We can comment that out. So what's going to happen? Well, let's have a look at our scene order again first. So scene first is the first scene is the splash screen. But our constructor runs, there's no code in there. So our scene's going to run. We want to call setup game as soon as we move to that next scene. So we're going to have to add, so remember setup game, set up our game scene with the hero and the enemies. Okay, so I'll go back to here, just add a bit more code. Window, actions. So we call that, go to the next scene, and we call setup game as well. Now let's see how that runs. Okay, there was one thing I forgot. This previously took a timer event as a parameter. We don't need that anymore. So let's try that again. Okay, so we've launched our game. We're on the splash scene. So clicking next scene should take us to our main game. And there it is.